patient. So this book is about a woman who shoots her husband and then she doesn't speak. But then a few years later, the psychotherapist Theo comes and he's just determined he can figure out what actually happened. And this book goes back and forth between Theo's point of view and the journal that the woman kept before she killed her husband. Literally the whole time I was reading this book, I was trying to guess myself what really happened. And like as Theo was meeting all these characters and finding out about all these different events, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the reason. Oh no, that person's the reason. Oh yeah, that's the reason. But then the plot twist comes and I was way off. Literally when I finished, I was ready to go back and reread the entire thing knowing the truth, because then I'll just see it in a whole different perspective. This book definitely gets 5 stars. So I went on the search for my next book that I was going to read, and then I found They Both Die at the End. This one I actually saw before on TikTok, and I just heard that it was good, and it also sounded really interesting. So I was like, okay, this will be the next book that we try. I finished this book in 24 hours. Like, never in my life could I ever read like that. So basically this book is about death casts, and they kind of just like hit you up on the day you're going to die and let you know that you're going to die that day. So the whole story is basically about these 2 boys who have like no idea who each other are. They both get a call on the same day, and then they end up meeting with each other, and it's just a whole story about how they go throughout the day. And this book made me feel so many emotions. The story is just so cute, and the idea of it all is just so creative. Overall, I would probably rate this book like a 4-star, maybe 4.5. The only problem that I have with this book is the author really tried to make it like Gen Z characters, which was another thing that I liked, because it was like in the point of view of teenagers, and it's like relatable, because it's like, what would I do if I got called that I was gonna die? But I just feel like the author tried way too hard. Like with one of the main characters, Rufus, you can tell the author really tried to make him like a Gen Z teen. Like for example, he used the word mad a lot. Like he used the word mad times kind of thing. And I don't know, it was just that small thing that really annoyed me, and I was like, And then there were some parts that are like overly descriptive, so I would just kind of like skim over. Like there's definitely some background information and stuff that he could have cut out. But overall, I absolutely love this book, and I would so recommend for you to read it. So the next book that I read is called Room Service. So this book is based about this girl named Kate and her friends who like celebrate her birthday. This year on her birthday, they go to this hotel, but then there starts to be like a stalker person, and then there's like this other new girl who just got added to the friend group, and the stalker person starts interacting with the new girl, and like the whole thing is basically about issues that happened last year on Kate's birthday to this other girl who used to be in their friend group. And you know, all this stuff goes down, and it was really good. And then of course there's a huge plot twist. For like this book and like even Silent Patient, everybody was like, oh my god, it was so predictable, the plot twist. Maybe I just didn't have enough experience reading this type of books, but it definitely shocked me. And it was also super easy read. I again read it in 24 hours. But I would give this book probably 3 out of 5 stars, because I feel like it was a pretty basic story. Like it wasn't like Silent Patient good, but it wasn't like a terrible story, you know. But again, it was just a super easy read. I still think it was a pretty creative story, but it just wasn't like, oh my gosh, the best book ever, you know? The next book that I read is It Ends With Us. You know what, let me just describe what it's about before my emotions come out. Basically, Lily meets this man, Ryle, and they meet each other and like low-key fall in love, but then they don't see each other for like 6 months. And then she reunites with Ryle, and then long story short, they start dating. And basically, you just think this relationship is absolutely perfect, and then you find out about Atlas. Just saying that name brings me so much joy. So Atlas was Lily's first love as a teen, and we find out through these journals that Lily kept. And long story short, again, one day Atlas comes back into the picture, and then all this drama starts happening. And then Lily also had a bad past with her abusive father, which is also a whole other thing to it. And then the way that it ended too, like the day I finished this book, I was just laying in bed, and then I decided, okay, you know what, I only have a few pages left, let me just finish this book. And then I finished it, but I stayed up for another hour thinking about this book. And then for about like a week and a half, I couldn't get myself to read anything else. Oh my gosh, and going back to my love for Atlas, I'm filming this in like the middle of February, so Colleen Hoover announced that she was coming out with It Starts With Us. Bro, when I tell you I wanted to cry, that's just how obsessed I am with the story. Also, Colleen Hoover's writing, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with. Like, Book Talk didn't lie about how good her writing was. But yeah, this book literally broke the star scale. So you know, after It Ends With Us just like destroyed all my emotions, I really tried to read another book, but I just couldn't. And then like a week and a half passed, and I went to Goodwill with my friend, and she found this book. Oh, that was upside down. But this is one of the books of Gossip Girl, and I like absolutely love the show. So when she found this, I was like, oh my gosh, I should read that, you know, just to say like I read the book to the show that I love, you know. But that was a terrible idea. In my opinion, this book sucked just because it was nothing like the show. I know the show is based off of the books, but I just think the show is perfect, and I don't want any changes at all. So reading this and everything being completely different, I was just like, ew. I literally only made it to page 36, and then I gave up. Maybe I'll finish one day just to say, you know, that I read the book, but for now, No. So overall, I started the year my reading journey really lucky, reading really good books. Honestly, after reading The Silent Patient, I was like, there's no way I'm ever gonna find a book as good as this. So then after, I had such low expectations. Like, reading They Both Die at the End, I was like, oh yeah, this book is gonna be overhyped and again, not as good as The Silent Patient. But then it was good, and then Room Service again was good. Bro, and I thought for real, y'all was just hyping up Colleen Hoover just to hype her up. Like, my expectations were here, and she met them all the way over here. Again, the book just like broke the scale. Anyway, so yeah, now I'm obsessed with reading. I even have a Goodreads now that I literally check like Instagram. And yeah, that's all I got. So thanks for watching.